uh, it says you come across two railway tracks or a railway
Mm-hmm.
track that splits into two. On one track, five people are tied to it, to the
Uh-huh.
track. And
Uh-huh.
on the other track, 10 people are tied,
Uh-huh.
right? And there's a lever, so you can flip the lever. If you don't flip it, 10 people would die. If
Uh-huh.
you flip it, five people will die. So what would you do?
I mean, I would save 10 randoms personally, but I don't think that this holds any moral weight because if somebody flipped the 5 or chose not to save the 10, I don't think they should be held legally responsible. And then it kind of gets subjective then too because it's like I would probably save like a family member, one family member over 1,000 people, you know? So just because like, in terms of utility, I'd be saving more. I don't think that holds any weight.
Wait, so you would save the 10?
Yeah,
Is
I
that what you're
personally saved the 10, but my point is if somebody did choose to save 5 instead of 10, they shouldn't be held accountable in any way.
No, I agree they shouldn't be held accountable, but you are choosing utilitarianism then, right?
Um,
No. Oh, you want to talk?
I wouldn't say it's utilitarianism because I think you would have to modify the analogy because in this case you're saying save 10 people or save 5 people. So it's not you're not
No,
really
no,
right.
it's like let 10 people die or kill five people.
Oh, that's
Oh,
different.
kill?
Well, you
In that,
when you flip the switch,
oh,
you will be killing them, right? You will be
oh,
No, no,
killing
okay.
you'd
five.
be letting them die, not killing them. I would do not never kill somebody. I'd always choose the alternative. So yeah.
But yeah, so you flip the switch, then so if you don't flip the switch, it stays on track and kills 10 people,
Yeah, but you didn't
right?
kill them. You just let them die. You just chose not to save them.
That's right. So you wouldn't flip it?
I mean, like I said, I'd save the 10, but if somebody wanted to save the 5 or save nobody, it wouldn't
Hold
matter.
on.
And
Can you
me
no, no,
personally, okay, wait, sorry, go ahead.
hold on. Can you restate? Are you saying okay? Are you saying that if you flip the lever, what happens? If you flick
If
the
you
lever.
if you flip it, then five people die. So you are killing five
Oh,
people.
I misunderstood. Then in that case, no, I wouldn't kill 5 to save 10 if that's what you mean. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that makes sense. So you are not a utilitarian then.
No, no, no. I would not kill 5 people to save 10. I misunderstood. I thought you meant save 5 or save 10.
Would it matter if the numbers change? If it's a million people
I
versus five
wouldn't
people?
kill one person to save 1,000, if that answers your question.
They're gonna
Um.
die regardless, right? You're just reducing the number of deaths in the outcome.
Well, yeah,
I
because I believe in the non-initiation of force, so I would do anything except kill another person.
But everything
terrible
like
take. Now some people are
Terrible
what?
funny.
take. Yeah, Craig, you want to give your example with this? Because I remember I used to actually logical about a year ago. I heard this interesting like dilemma. I actually heard Craig talk about it. He said something like, "Would you rather, you know, I don't know, stab one person or let 5 people get stabbed?" And intuitively we want to think, okay, let's save the most people. I guess I got to stab a person. But then like when you really get into the nitty gritty of it, where does that go? Could I essay a person? Right. Can I rape a person to save people? No, like I can't do that. I can't violate somebody's rights because people are not a means to an end.
No, the
Uh,
point
would
is
you?
not like
Would you?
go ahead.
Would you? Yeah. How far would you go? Would you like torture someone to save?
I mean, that's an individual, like how far you want to go, right? But this,
No, but okay. But if you're saying that the principle is to achieve the most good for the most amount of people, you would be committed to doing all those things. Not that you would have like you would have to do it if you want to be logically consistent. So I think utilitarianism, even though at some point some people might feel it's intuitive, I think out of all the moral philosophies, you will have to concede to the most horrible things in the end in its totality. You will have so like the people saying in the comments, awful take. I'm pretty sure if they actually consider the totality of what they're saying, they would see, oh, actually, I couldn't justify this.
Yeah, like even though intuitively it may seem right to you guys, like looking into an innocent person's eyes and stabbing them because I want to save some other people, even though this person's innocent as well. I don't think I could do that.
I mean, that comes down to level of effort, of course. But here that's why I made it. So, or I didn't make it, but it's just flipping of a switch. You're not doing much.
Yeah, but no,
Right?
I wouldn't kill 5 people to save 10 or anything. I would just not act.
So how far would that go? Like, I mean, you can ask me that as well, like you were asking, but how far would that go?
No,
Uh,
Sandberg. Rule
Sam Burke is in
utilitarianism.
here. I love Sam Burke.
No, Sandberg.
He's a
Rule
utilitarian again. I
rule
hate that.
utilitarianism literally does not solve the problem.
Oh,
It's
logical.
always
Are
it's
you an
almost
act
always
util
ad hoc.
or rule util, or do you not?
am I what?
Act utilitarian or rule utilitarian?
What's the difference?
Okay,
There's
Craig,
no
you want to explain it? But okay,
there's no
act.
real difference. Don't worry about it.
Well, there is a difference, but okay.
Not functionally, only in the head of the people. But I'll say, okay, act utilitarianism is basically stating that you would judge that what action specifically leads to the most amount of good for the most amount of people. Now, rule utilitarianism states that the action doing that would not actually maximize utility in the long run. And actually, what you need to maximize utility are rules, right? So you would formulate rules that would, even though in certain instances might not maximize utility, the rule in its totality would. So an example that they give to illustrate this is act utilitarianism would say, okay, if a doctor has 5 patients and he has to kill one patient and give the organs to the 5 other people, he should. But a rule utilitarian would say, actually, what would happen is people are going to be afraid of going to the doctor's office, and over time, so many people will die because of that, that it's best that we don't allow that, even if in that specific example, it would maximize utility. So that's
Yeah,
the distinction.
I wouldn't be a rule utilitarian. Everything has to come down to the context of the specific situation.
Mm-hmm. So in that case, with the doctor, would you say that a doctor would have the right to remove all organs and kill one person to save the 5?
No, because well, doctors takes an oath to not do any harm, but
I mean, but if your
But
goal is
but
to
would this
maximize,
be harm?
I mean, if your goal is to maximize utility, I would
no,
assume
no,
that you would.
I would say no. He should not. But
What?
because it's different than the trolley example, because you didn't make that situation, right? You're not actively killing those 5 people or 10 people, but the doctor is, right? On the trolley example, that situation already exists. You were just trying to differentiate. You're just trying to create an optimal outcome, whatever
No,
optimal is
okay,
according to your moral values. In the doctor
okay.
situation, you're initiating everything. You're just killing the person taking the organs.
No, okay. So I kind of have a problem with this because in the trolley problem, unless you're saying that your action was not like it, you did not change the route so that it hit the 5 people, then yeah, you would have changed, like control the train to go in a specific direction in order to kill the other people. So I would say that you did directly kill them.
Yeah. Because
Right.
originally you weren't the ones that, tied them to the train track or did whatever, right? But then if you directly shift the course of the train, then yeah, you did kill them because they wouldn't have died without you.
Yeah. So uh, I'll stay on the doctor example, but it's similar to, for example, how you do triage, right? You didn't create the situation, but you're faced with certain circumstances, right? Most things are out of our control. So this it's not a parallel to asking if the doctor just directly actively going killing somebody, taking their organs and giving to somebody else. When you just come to the trolley, somebody else already kidnapped and put them there. So analogy would be like if it's a triage situation to the battlefield, you choose which one gets medical attention, things like that.
Well, it would be more so because somebody could have put those patients in a state where they needed the attention of the doctor, right? Just like somebody could have put the people in the train track in a state where it's up to your discretion now. So in terms of like the doctor, if that doctor is the only person that has this situation in his hands and the only one that can act, I think utilitarian ethics would still apply.
What is this like? The doctor walks into operating room, somebody
And
forces him.
maybe it doesn't even have to be if you have a problem with the licensing part of the doctor. Like even just if I'm at home, right, and a lot of people come to me for medical attention, and I have this one person that's also come to me, can I kill them purposefully to like save the other 5?
Because just randomly, I wouldn't say so, no.
I mean, I wouldn't say so either, but I think in order to, truly be a utilitarian, I mean, 5 to 1.
Yeah, but that's not the situation because there are other options available, right?
No,
If I,
No, in the analogy, like there wouldn't be, obviously.
yeah, but how would that be the situation, right?
the
If you need,
situation would be that, okay, given that you do not save them, they will all die. So, like, you have to cut the guys, you have to kill him and give the other people his organs, saving 5 people and killing 1 person, right? So, in that immediate danger, would you not say, on a utilitarian basis of trying to maximize the most good and minimize harm, that I think based on utilitarianism, you would have to concede that.
if I'm to narrow the analogy down, like if you're forced, if you don't have any other option, then yes.
I mean, you have the option
You have
not
the
to.
option to just operate on them, save their life, and let the 5 die.
Yeah, so that's what I'm not understanding. Like, where's the constraint here? Like, you can just,
Well, no, you cannot operate, right? Or you can just operate on them, or you can operate on them with the intention to kill them and then save the other 5. I would just not operate, or I would operate on the 1, but to kill 1 innocent person to save 5, yeah, no.
yeah, I would say if there are no other constraints, then yes, or there are no other options for the doctor. Like if 5 would die instead of just 1, then yeah, I would go with saving the 5.
So you would go with. So you'd say that it's justified in that scenario for the doctor to kill his
Yeah,
patient.
I don't think you guys are presenting the scenario possibly, but if I'm to narrow it down to the trolley example where
No, no, no,
everybody's
no,
always tied to the
because
yeah, with,
it seems that
so,
you're conflating saving and killing in the sense that
Yeah.
you have to save 1% or save 5 people. The question is, in order to save them, what are you doing? And in this context, you're killing 1% to save 5 people. Do you think you're
yeah,
allowed to kill 1% to save 5 people?
yeah, that's if that is a if somebody puts you in that position, right? In that trolley example,
Okay, I'll just ask you, why is it a requirement that someone puts you in that position? If your actual
because
goal, right, as a utilitarian is to maximize good, shouldn't it really
Mhm.
matter whether it's put in
It
the
does matter
situation?
because in the real world there are multiple choices. It's not a false choice. You
I
don't
mean,
have
I'm just trying to identify your ethical position and then we can start applying it to real world situations. But if we're not clear on what you believe, we cannot do that. So again,
I did.
uh,
If you, I did make it clear. If your choices are down to just two of those options, then yes, I would save the most
okay,
amount.
okay. So you would be willing, just to clarify, to kill 1 person to save 5 people.
Yeah, like if it's as simple as like flipping a switch, I mean that would come down
I
to
mean,
like
okay,
what do you,
why
It
does it?
shouldn't matter though.
Why
That's the
does?
thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
why
would
does
that's
you
a
it?
torture
like
would
I
you
don't
torture 1 person
exactly so.
to save like 5 others from being tortured?
Uh, that's what I'm saying. So then that comes down to individual preferences, like what are you willing to do
I
to
mean,
another person.
I
Right,
mean,
but
you.
if I'll phrase it this way. If somebody tortured 1 person, right, in order to save 5 people from being tortured, would you hold them legally accountable?
Say that again.
If somebody chose to torture 1 person in order to save 5 from being tortured that they had no bearing over, would you hold that person legally accountable, the person that did the torturing?
I would hold accountable whoever put that person in that
Well, of
position.
course, yes, but in addition to this person that's going to have to torture this person now.
No, not in that situation because
Why not?
he doesn't
That's
have.
interesting.
Why not? Because they chose to torture
He didn't have
someone.
to act, is my point, right? He could have said, this has nothing to do with me. I didn't put these people here. I don't want to play hero. I can go, right? But if he chooses to act and torture a person with his own means to an end, then yeah, I think he should be held accountable.
But then you should also be held accountable for 5 people being tortured.
No, wait, because you don't have an obligation. Hold
You
on.
don't have an
You don't
obligation
have
to
an
You think you
hold.
obligation.
have?
You don't have an
You think you have an obligation to save people?
You
You
don't.
don't.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he would only be held accountable for killing someone or torturing someone as opposed to saving people from torture.
Yeah.
Then, but by the same logic, you shouldn't hold him accountable for torturing 1 person.
Wait, why not?
Mm,
Because he's the one that initiated the torture in this example, as
No, he's
opposed
already in
to.
that position.
Okay, this is a weird concept of
Wait, what
position.
about, okay, I think a pool
He,
analogy is better, right? If you're just walking past, you see a pool and you see some random person drowning in it and you don't save them, you're completely within your rights to do so, right? But then
Mhm.
is the question, would you push one person to drown in order to save 5 people from drowning? See how it's different because you're directly taking the action to put them in that state, whereas in this case you're just walking by.
No, let me do it a different way. If you're walking by, you see one person drowning, do you have an obligation to go save them?
Nope, not at
Then
all.
then the
If
an-
you
then
choose
the
to,
answer is
that's
no.
great, but
Yeah,
you
then
don't
the
have
answer is no. You
but
don't have an
wait,
obligation.
but if your goal, hold on, but if your goal is to maximize well-being, someone going to save them should be an obligation, shouldn't it?
No, why would it? If it's just one person drowning, you're walking by. You don't. Why do you have
Wait,
an
but hold on.
obligation?
This is how
Wait, but
wait,
he's
hold on. This is how utilitarianism works, right? Would the harm of you going to save them outweigh saving this person's life? I don't think it would. What's the worst that would happen? Your clothes would get wet, right? You'd have to run a few steps. Would that utility outweigh saving this person's life? No. So I think by utilitarian logic, they'd have to have an obligation to do it or act ethically, of course.
Oh no, but that comes down to how much you value. You could very well value a shirt more than value somebody else's life, right?
Right.
Since value is subjective, so it comes down to that person, right?
I mean, are you saying that people should do what is right is what they value?
If people should do what they think is, mm, say that again.
You think people should do whatever they value? They should be allowed to do it.
People should like just in general.
Yeah, because the concepts you're using is like, oh, it's his personal value, but he doesn't tell us what code of conduct he has an obligation to follow. So now, as someone, I would say that the only obligation he has is not to push the person in the water, but he has no obligation to save the person. Now, I'm confused as to what your stance is because you keep saying it's based on his personal preference. But if you're really a utilitarian, if you believe that the goal is to maximize utility, then you have an obligation to save the person regardless of your preference.
No, not at all. Because when we do a like trolley, for example, when you do one-to-one, like but you can value one life versus another life.
I mean,
Then it
no,
becomes
this is
kind of
you're not sacrificing your life. You're sacrificing some
You're
discomfort.
initiating force is the difference.
No, sorry, I'm talking
no. Yeah,
about
you're
the
sacrificing.
person.
Let's say you're sacrificing your
Yes,
clothes,
for
your
someone's life.
right.
It,
So
which one
yeah,
is
because
more
then
important?
that comes down to value, right?
No, but
Let's
how
replace
did
let's replace
no no
let's replace the clothes with the $10 billion that feed 1 million people, whatever, right?
I mean, as a
Then
utilitarian,
yeah, it's
I
good.
think
So
you would
then what is the
clearly.
value of their life?
I mean that's a problem with utilitarianism. That's another problem. That would not change the fact. That would not change the fact that based on our understanding on utility, we would say that you would have an obligation to save them. It
No,
doesn't matter.
utilitarianism is when the value is similar or value is same,
I
right?
mean,
So
it's not.
that's
It's
why
clearly not. It's clearly not similar. I mean, if
that's
this is
why when
similar,
I
okay, if this is similar, I would argue that you would not be able to make any distinction at all. Because okay, if you can say that someone having the inconvenience of going in the water is close enough to the level of someone's life, I can argue with you about anything.
yeah,
Like I can
sure, but
like
again,
let's
I
go
cannot
back. Okay,
determine
no,
for
no,
you.
perfect. Let's go back to the trolley problem. I can make the argument that it is possible, right? That those 5 people could have way more important lives. They could be way more important people. They could have a way more important
Sure.
effect on the world than the
Yeah,
10
absolutely.
people.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you
how
can
can we
add,
make
yeah,
the choice?
because those weren't in the condition. But yeah, you can by all means add a. So if from one trolley was Albert Einstein, you could do. But I think, of course, he changed the equation.
Okay, I don't think you're
Then how
understanding
do
my
we determine
point.
who acted ethically?
Yeah.
Because that's completely subjective thing. That's the point of that.
Well, if
Okay,
it's subjective, then it's meaning like it doesn't really
yeah, then
tell
it
us
doesn't
anything.
matter. If
You're just saying do whatever you want in a situation, basically.
No, do things that maximize the
Yeah, but you
well-being
just
and
said that.
happiness of most
Okay,
people.
wait, hold on. Let me ask a question. Is it moral under utilitarianism to kill 5 people to save 4?
Kill 5 people to save 4? No, it
Yes.
wouldn't.
Right, but it's moral to kill 5 people to save 6, right?
Sure.
Right. So clearly, like, one is moral and one is not. So I wouldn't really consider it a subjective then, to you at least.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's subjective to different people. Like you see it differently, so it's subjective to you. It's subjective to me.
Wait, somebody said they called me the devil. That's funny. Well, yeah. So, like I said, if my
So
mother was
you
on,
don't agree with it, right? So you don't
well, if
agree
you
with the
like, I'm saying though, like if my mother was on one, obviously I value her more. I agree that like our value that we place on people is subjective. What I disagree on though is that the fact that value is subjective, then you can't make a claim about what is right and wrong under utilitarianism. Then it doesn't matter. Because like,
yeah
hold on,
the
if I had to kill 5 people to save 4, and one of the 4 was my mother, who I obviously value more, did I act ethically?
that's for you to decide.
So you're a
It,
subjectivist?
I
it's
mean, I
your
don't think you're
subjective.
defending.
I don't
I
think
think you're
you're,
defending some
yeah,
form of egoism.
yeah, which is based, by the way, but it's not
Um,
utilitarianism.
I don't know about that one, but ego. Yeah, I think you're defending egoism, not utilitarianism, because you're always referring back to someone's own subjective preferences, which is not the most happiness for the most people. Is the most happiness for you specifically.
And that I agree with, but like, as long as you're not
And
initiating force, but yeah.
So the only condition is that you're saying just don't. Um, so you're like a libertine, is that what you're saying?
I mean, kind of a libertarian.
No, libertine.
you said
Libertine, libertine, not
libertine.
lib-
What does that mean?
uh, just pleasure, I guess. Maximize your happiness.
Huh? I've never heard that word, sorry.
You're saying you're a hedonist.
A hedonist? You're a hedonist. You're a utilitarian. Why are you calling me a hedonist?
No, no, I was asking. I'm not. It's not a bad thing.
Yes, it is. Hedonism is a terrible thing.
No, but libertarian is a more appropriate word. He's using hedonism. I guess you
Oh,
can kind of
how
use
is
it.
your entire ideology going to be based off of pleasure, and then you're going to call me a hedonist?
I am a
And
libertarian.
Oh, but no. I mean, I believe in human flourishing.
Right. So to complete the circle, I believe capitalism. I support capitalism
Yeah,
because
I
it
know that's good. At least
maximizes.
we
Yeah.
fundamentally reach the same conclusion on free market capitalism, but still, it's like I don't like using utilitarian
everyone wants
principles
pleasure.
to
I
justify.
mean, sure, but you might not
All right. So
achieve.
are you both support like private property based on
Yes,
ethics?
of course, yes.
So okay, can you justify that? Let's say. So would you say it always has to be passed down ethically? Then so if you have your house, for example, if it's so you own that house, right? You have a right to
Mm-hmm.
that property.
Mm-hmm.
So would it matter then? So if you bought it from somebody, they bought it from somebody else. So if you keep following that chain, at some point it was taken by force, correct?
Correct.
So
Wait,
would you be
At least in
then?
America, that would be, yeah.
I mean, it's actually I've been reading. It's pretty much everywhere, all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've been reading a lot of anthropology and ethnography recently. So it's pretty much every land. So would you say, are you now a part of? Are you part of that? Are you kind of an accomplice
I
in
guess you wouldn't
stealing a
know
property?
because you don't know who took who. You wouldn't know what part of it was stolen. And even so, I would hold the person that directly like stole the property accountable because as you go more into generations and generations, you wouldn't be able to tell. So then you wouldn't have the intent as you're buying a house.
So like if it's one generation and they come back and say, okay, this land belonged to my father, would you give it up, or do you have a right to that
Oh yeah,
property you bought?
I think that would be reasonable because like I even think now slave owners that owned slaves back in the day that are still alive today should be held legally accountable now. So yeah, I mean sure.
Slave owners still alive today.
Bro, I was just giving an example. And okay, I'll use a better one. There was a person that was, one of the I can't even say that Nazi people that executed Jews, and we held him legally accountable. And I agree. I think we should have.
Oh wait, who executed who?
Huh?
What did you say?
Abolish the statute of limitations, right?
Right. So yeah, that's what I'm asking, I guess. So if it's ethical, what would be the statute of limitation, or would that exist at all? Like in terms of stolen property.
I mean, no, if you could, she said, if you could track the person that it was stolen from, you would have to give it back to them.
Yeah. Like if there was some way we could possibly know what tribe stole from who, then know how it was delegated throughout. Yeah, I mean, sure, but I don't think there's a way we can determine that yet, currently at least.
So you're basing it on practicality then? Like,
I mean, no, like if you could name an individual case genuinely where we could 100% know for certainty and trace it for some reason, then sure, that'd be possible. I'm just saying, like, as it stands, it's not possible, right?
how did you what do you think about what is moral way to acquire property? Like let's say like a bunch of people
Homesteading.
So like you have to live there, farm there. Is that
I mean,
can you
depends the
explain
property.
homesteading?
Depends the property. Okay, depending on the property, the context for us to say that it's not an extension of your freedom of action, we would have to see what you're doing with the property and then identify that, yeah, this person has truly used the property in a way that we can say they have made it an extension of their freedom of action.
That seems pretty subjective, a little bit, at least a little bit subjective. Like,
I mean, it's not
how would you
subjective.
determine that? Like,
I mean,
how would you determine if
I
it's
mean,
1
again, it
acre, I can
depends.
farm on 1 acre versus I can farm on 2 acres?
Again, it depends on the context. Now, it's not subjective. It's just hard to determine. There's a difference, right? It's
I
like,
said
okay,
if it's subjective
what you
and
say?
arbitrary, things like it.
It's not arbitrary because the principle that I identify is objective. The thing that is hard to identify is how do we identify the principle in real things, which is what is an extension of your freedom of action. When have you legitimately used something to the point where we can say, yeah, this is part of their freedom of action? And I think it would depend on the
Freedom of
specific
action, I
property.
could
Yeah.
like, okay, freedom of action. Like let's say I get on a tractor, I keep driving and driving for, I don't know, 100 acres. It's freedom
I
of
mean,
action, right?
I think we can contextually identify based on what it is, its
So
functions, its functions
contextually
with property.
identifying, so it comes down to your point of view of what
I
you're
mean,
subjectively identifying.
it's not subjective. Identification is not subjective because I'm identifying what the tractor is, which is looking at its functions, its properties, how it works, and
I'm talking
then
about the area, yeah. Uh-huh.
what? What are you talking
The
about?
area. So if
I mean, the area
freedom of
is
action.
okay. Okay. This is kind of a conflation. You wouldn't cite a specific area because, in fact, someone could use a property in a way that a different amount of area would be sufficient to say that it's an extension of their freedom of action. So it's contextual to the use, to the different factors in reality. But it's when the essential function has been fulfilled, which is that we can legitimately identify that it's someone's extension of the freedom of action. So again, it's not arbitrary, it's just contextual. And things that tend to be contextual seem hard to identify, and therefore it seems arbitrary, but it's not.
So okay, so freedom of action. It's a lot of words, but I'm trying to get it to where I can objectively identify
I mean, okay,
how much land somebody can claim.
I would say again, you're engaging in reductionist thinking, and if you want that kind of thinking, you'll never achieve the identification. The identification is what can we as people reasonably say achieve the principle? Not saying specifically a specific amount of land. That is not the context. That is not the method. The method
I
is not.
also
But
think
that is
it's important to identify like why the right to property exists, right? The right to property is so we can have jurisdiction and own and control over what we have produced, right? So that's another thing.
right. So that's more a utilitarian argument, wouldn't it? Maybe,
No, it's
right?
just an.
You're making a practical argument, as in, you can own and control, transfer property, so that makes it useful. No, that makes it more efficient.
I mean, you can own useless things, right? If I have a giant island where I decide to plant flowers all over the island and I went through every single part of it and I was the first person to discover it. I mean, yeah, I would still say you have jurisdiction over it at that point, even though it's useless, because it's clear in that case, you know, that was my product of my labor and my direct actions as man. So
I'm interested in, like, as I read more and more history, a lot of times what has happened, like going back to when we lived as tribals and chiefdoms, stuff like that. One tribe goes to another tribe and just takes over a large area, and then a lot of times it continues on, right? And then it becomes private property, and then it gets transferred over, right? So I'm trying to figure out you're making an ethical argument for private property. Like I want to find out something that's an objective way of knowing how much you can homestead and how much you can claim, and then
Again, you're conflating objective with a specific number. But the fact that the world is so contextual and that there are different factors involved means that I cannot give you a specific amount in any context. It would always be contextual to the specific event and the
right, like
things
in
involved.
the island example that I gave you, right? If I go discover an island, and then I only plant flowers on half of it, and I never even explored the other island, I don't think I would have jurisdiction to say I now own this entire thing. If somebody else chooses to land, I don't have the right to like push them into the ocean or anything if they landed on that side.
so what if there's 100 people land on the island, 99 people are just standing around a corner, there's unpacking stuff like that, and you just
Mm-hmm.
go capture
Well, no, you
99% of
would
it.
say, "Hi, you're on my property. Bye." And
No,
then
no,
if
no.
they
Everybody arrives at the island same time, like small spot. 99 people choose to just stand around, talk to each other for a minute, and you
uh-huh.
go around just taking all the land.
Oh, that's based. This is usually people's contention with capitalism is like, oh, one person's gonna get all the food and all the coconuts and have all the power. Yeah,
No, they
good.
wouldn't.
Well, no, like if
But
that
I'm
one person
I'm
that
asking in
chose
terms of
not to,
ethics.
well, yeah, if that one person chose not to sit around and went to go get all of the food, right? And those 99 people are just chilling or whatever. Yeah, I think that person that went to go get the food has complete control and jurisdiction over whatever they got.
Yeah, that is what has happened a lot of times throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets passed on. So I don't think you can.
I don't see any contention with that. Like if there was a plane crash, right? And all three of us landed on an island and now we all just equally landed there and it's nobody's island. And if two of you chose to do nothing and I went to go establish my land and my house and get food and start a fire, yeah, I think I have every means to those things and you guys don't have a right to share with
Let
me
me
unless
ask
you
you. Let
want
me
to.
ask a different way. If you have a house and I buy all the land around your house,
Mm-hmm.
right, completely surrounding it 360 degrees, and then so you're just stuck inside your house. You cannot go outside to hunt or whatever to like make a living. Do I have a right to shoot you if you walk onto my property?
See, this is where I think it gets contextual with that you would have to talk to them about it and that there could possibly be considered a rights violation because your
But it's
freedom.
a but if you're making ethical
I don't.
arguments, it should be
I don't think you have the
black
right.
and white.
I don't think you have the right to shoot someone for being on your property.
Yeah, no, no,
So
no. Okay, yeah, that would be another thing, obviously. Right, but like, that's why
You
I said
don't?
you should delegate it.
no, I mean,
No, not an innocent person just like accidentally. No, you don't have a right to shoot them. That's completely disproportionate.
Wait, why not? It's your property. You should be able to. shoot
I mean,
people.
just because
What?
something is your
We
property doesn't
believe.
mean you have
Yeah, it
the
doesn't
right
mean
to
you
do
get to
anything you
do
want.
initiate force against innocent people on your property.
But you're initiating force by stepping onto their property,
Okay, no,
right?
no, no.
That
But
Okay,
it's not a
wait. Hold
proportional
on.
amount of force. You know what I'm saying? Like if a
doesn't.
toddler just wanders onto your property, yes, they violate my property rights, but it's not proportional to then shoot them.
So you're not making it so that okay, it's not an absolute position then, right?
Proportionality is just as absolute as it can get, I think.
Yeah, the context of the use of force has a specific context and a specific principle, and I think the reason
No,
you're
you're placing
conflating.
context in all of the situations.
No.
So
But
that means
I think the reason you're making this conflation is because you talk about these principles away from what is the fundamental justification. The fundamental justification for why someone being on your property, you have the right to exert force, is because you're attempting to stop the rights violation. But if while attempting to stop the rights violation, you engage in such an act that is even more egregious than the right violation, then you've done more than stop the rights violation. You violated someone else's rights. So that is the context of saying that someone being on your walking in your property does not justify you using a shotgun. And I think, would you say that you could shoot a toddler if they wanted on your yard?
it's no, I wouldn't shoot them, but I'm asking
But
you
should
No,
then
no.
because
somebody
I'm a
else have the legal
Do you
right
think
to
they
do
have the
so?
right to do so?
no, I don't think so. No, but
Yeah.
then
So you,
I'm not an absolutist. That's what I'm saying, right?
I
I
mean,
don't
it's not
believe in.
absolutism. We never, the principle that we outline of property rights and self-defense never stated that you have every, that given someone is on your property, you have every right to do anything you want. That's not the principle. The principle is you have a
But they're
specific.
violating your right, correct? So
Yeah, so
you
you
have
can
a
Yeah.
act proportionally
they
to
initiated
retaliate.
the
Yeah, no,
And
but nothing. Okay,
yeah,
nothing about the concept of violation of rights entails that any
what is
reason
your moral
that
hang on what is your moral obligation to act in proportion?
well, that
because
just comes in down to your moral obligation to not violate other people's rights because acting in use of egregious force would violate somebody else's rights.
yeah,
How it no, they initiated the violation,
yeah,
correct?
just because
And
just
you
because you initiate something doesn't mean that you cannot do something so bad that it's also
That
becomes an
it's
initiation of
worse.
force.
Yeah.
I can give you examples. Like imagine someone steals something from me, and as a response, I shoot their child. Like it's like a response, but it's not like a proportionate response to the rights violation. I then responded by violating the child's right, and let's say in the example, shooting the child would make them give me back my money. So you see, it's not. It doesn't make sense to say that. Like no, the rights violations. Like yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Do you believe though, like, I think that you understand it though, as long as you're not conceding to like killing the toddler, right? I mean, I'm sure you're pro gun. I've seen your videos, but the reason why your jurisdiction doesn't extend so far is because it's a disproportionate use of force.
yeah, I think that
Your
again
your
introduces
fans want to change in topic.
I
yeah,
know. Wait, are
I
you?
agree.
You're pro-life, aren't you?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm pro-choice.
God,
Oh my God.
I'll be
Okay.
right
Well,
back.
we can talk about that then, because that's a mess.
Yeah, we can.
I thought from your
That's probably a
content,
longer conversation. Say again.
I thought, well, aren't you friends with like Tyler? Has he not converted you yet?
With the Bluntman?
Yes.
No, I'm not friends with him.
Oh, okay.
I've only seen his videos like a couple of times, and he keeps getting banned like every other day or something.
But wait, why are you?
Every time I see his videos, like a new account.
Yeah. Why are you
Yeah, but no,
pro-choice?
I'm. That's a long
I
subject.
thought you would say you're pro-life, honestly, from your
Oh,
content.
really? No,
Yes.
I'm very socially liberal. And then yeah, just empirical evidence that brought me to capitalism.
Utilitarianism is a pro-life position.
Is it? Well,
Wow,
but it doesn't. It could be. But
wow.
I take primacy of the individual in this instance.
Yeah,
Like
the
you own your
fetus is an
body. So there
individual.
are. I should make uh an exception here. Like there are certain things I do believe. Like if you tell me like society would be better by banning drugs, nobody should be allowed to. I would disagree with that because I think you own your body. You should be able to put it in your body, right?
But then it's like you special plead from utility. I mean, I agree. I don't think drugs should be legal, by the way. But like, then you see how it special pleads from the principle of utility.
Yeah, that is a violation of that's what I'm saying. Like almost anything I can think of, I'm not absolutist in any
Okay.
position I can think of. So that is one exception I make to utilitarianism. Not that, by the way, society is better off by making all drugs legal. But
If
I argue
society
from it.
would produce better economic benefits with slavery, would you be pro-slavery?
No, I wouldn't, because again, it's a violation of individual, because you own your
Okay,
body.
exactly. So I would
Yeah,
agree with you. No matter what the benefits are, you can't violate somebody's rights to do so. So why can you kill people to achieve your means to an end then? Because that's still a rights violation.
because it's your body, because somebody else
No,
doesn't have a
no,
right
no, no,
to,
not abortion. Just in the trolley example. And why can you kill people?
because you're minimized, because somebody puts you in the, that's your only two choices. You reduce this
No,
to
you
two
can
choices.
choose to do nothing. You can say, okay, I'll let more die.
But then, yeah, but then 10 people will die.
Yeah, so you
You,
just said
you,
individual rights should not be violated.
their rights are already violated. Like, all you're doing is minimizing the
I
harm.
mean, no, they're not.
No, because would those 5 people that you're choosing to kill and to save the 10 died if you did not pull that lever or whatever?
I think the audience is already bored with that subject. Let's
Okay,
let's
sorry.
move on.
Well, we can talk about that another time because I actually find this
Yeah.
more interesting than some of the other conversations I have on here. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll stop by the time we can debate abortion something.
yeah, I'll add the Morgan girl next. Okay, well, thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Bye.
of course. Bye. She's been requested so